Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Can you see me all right, Dr. Armstrong?
Yes, I can, Laura. Yes, I can.
Thank you so much, Dr. Armstrong, for
You're-
offering your time for an interview today for our virtual choral festival.
I actually was born in New York City, born in New York Hospital, and when I was an infant, my parents moved from the city out to Long Island. I was a slightly rambunctious child. I thought I was better behaved than I was, but after my father passed away, we found all my elementary school report cards, and I guess I wasn't as well behaved as I thought I was. But one of the things that gave me focus as a child was music and was singing. And when I was 6 years old, Carol Weber, who was part of this couple that came to our church, decided that there were enough young children, more boys actually than girls, who could make up a children's choir. So she, kind of like Mary Poppins, kind of just came and grabbed us out of Sunday school, and we went and we sang in this junior choir. And I sang my first solo when I was 6 years old. And I can still sing that hymn. I won't do that for you all this morning, or this afternoon, but I can still sing that hymn. And she gave us wonderful training. So I grew up in a very rich tradition musically, this wonderful junior choir. And then when I was about 12 years old, um, well, actually, when I was 11 years old, a group that was then called the Columbus Boy Choir, but that most people would now know as the American Boy Choir, came to Long Island. And Carol thought we should go and hear that concert. And we did. And I kind of protested because I have two older brothers who are 10 and 14 years older, but they were going to a Yankees game with my dad, and I was supposed to have gone, and my mother said, no, we're going to go to this choir concert. And I kind of protested, more than protested. And my mother just said, you're going to be the death of me yet. Just go into this concert and behave. And after the first piece, after protesting for days, literally all the way to the concert, which was on the North Shore of Long Island, about a half an hour from where we lived, I heard one piece and I said, I want into that choir. They invited me to go when I was turning 11, turning 12, but it meant living away from home in Princeton, New Jersey. And my parents, we were not poor people. We were lower middle class. And my parents worked very hard to provide stable, you know, a wonderful home and food on the place, but they didn't have a lot of extras, not certainly to send me into a situation like that. And so I didn't go at first. Um, and then I did something slightly underhanded. I basically forged a letter from my mother, which I believe the school still has in its file someplace, where I basically said that my mother and father had changed their minds about this situation and if they would be open to talking about financial aid. The end result, I ended up going to school there. After not a long evening of one should not forge other people's letters, one should not tell lies, one should not. But that experience, and I sang in the American Boy Choir for 2 years, and that really was the thing that lit my fire for choral singing. And the sun was bright and shining on this 8-degree day with just the snow frozen on the trees. Everything was white. And you get in there and the buildings are white. And basically the people were white. And the food was even white that day, because I still remember the lunch meal I had there was Swedish meatball, so that white gravy, mashed potatoes, and cauliflower. I thought, this is, and I didn't really know much about Scandinavian anything at that point. But I went throughout the day and the people were so kind. And as we talked, they maybe looked different from me, but their values were not different than what I was raised with in my Black home and in my Black neighborhood. So they just looked a lot different from me. And I did keep checking my wallet because I thought people can't be this nice. They want something out of me. I met that day actually the man that was my teacher and the man I succeeded as conductor before. I met with Kenneth Jennings, and so I'm just completing my 30th year at St. Olaf. It's hard to believe, but I'm getting children of my first students are now in that choir, and yeah, it's been a good 30 years. It's been a very rewarding 30 years, and it's allowed me to shepherd a wonderful choral tradition, one that has been so influential in this country, and to respect, the foundations of what I inherited, but also to lead into a new chapter of serving people through the choral arts. So it's been a wonderful. I've had a I've had a wonderful life. It's been a good life, and I have a few more years before I decide to at least stop full-time teaching.
So can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Kim Andre Arnesen?
The Yentakor is a world-class choir. And so the Nieros Domans Yentakor were featured artists in 2011 at the World Symposium of Choral Music in Patagonia, Argentina, Puerto Madryn. And they did a stunning concert, but the piece that really captivated me was a piece called Even When He's Silent. Mm-hmm. And it was just striking, and their performance of the work stunning, and I fell in love with the piece. I've commissioned, I think, 4 or 5 pieces alone over these last 9 or 10 years. Actually, Flight Song is not a commission.
I was going to ask because it doesn't look like it was.
My birthday is April 26th. And and in 2014, I got a wonderful email from Anita Breivik and Kim together. And then I got a separate email from Kim. And he said, I wanted to give you something, and I wanted to make something special for you. And he said, see the attachment. This was the attachment. This is my birthday gift. So I copied it, I took it off, printed it up, came back to my studio and started playing it. I just fell in love with it. And I sent it over to the print shop. I said, I need 75 copies. I need to read it through this afternoon single choir. And I called my student pianist and I said, I don't want you fumbling over this. Go in the practice room. And the choir sat right through this and fell in love with it. Just fell in love with it. And it's a piece that really speaks. He was trying to honor in his own way. He said, I was trying to honor what I saw the relationship between you and your singers. But what, and what he felt was the promise that young people this age have, but it's a promise that we have for a lifetime and what music can give us. So, I mean, while I've commissioned several other pieces that I've loved, this one will always be special because it came from his heart and it was a gift to me. And I'm glad that my birthday gift can make so many other people so happy. Kim is a very quiet person. He's a very shy man. He's not at all egotistical. He's very humble, very, very humble. And I think it takes someone like that. I was humbled by his humility that he could see the relationship. And I think many conductors that's one of the great joys of being a conductor of choral ensembles. If you're able to relate to your singers, it's a mutual synergy, that choir that sang in 2013. It's like, ask which of your children do you love more, okay? I basically, 30 years of singing with choirs, I've been 1 or 2 that, But I'd say easily 28 out of those 30 years, they've all been my favorites. But that was a very special choir. And we bonded, and that tour to Norway was incredible. But what happens in a tour like that is what I've tried to instill in the singers over the years is that we do it and we work hard not to impress people, but that we work hard. And I kind of take this inspiration from the second conductor of this choir, Olaf Christian. You remove all the things that the human ear and mind can be distracted by. That if a chord doesn't tune right, or if that vowel doesn't sound right and the sound is not beautiful, or the text is intelligible, those are all the things that people will be bothered by. But if you can work for a level of excellence where those things are in place, then there's a stronger spirit that comes through the music. And for Olaf, it was a very religious man. For him, it was the Holy Spirit. I mean, I'm a religious person, and I do believe, when I've had some of my most wonderful feelings of connection to a God, an infinite being, singing in a choir and conducting a choir. I know that's not true for everyone. They can admit at a level of beauty that that the arts provide in our existence. And even, I never say you have to believe in this. I said, but just stay open. Just stay open to what this might bring you in whatever way you will understand it. And that is something that Kim picked up. I mean, he was around some of the rehearsals. He heard us do a concert. He was there as we were, because he was helping us. We had to do this television special and Christmas special. But I think what he noticed was, you know, it wasn't me just nagging the choir. It was that they kept working for excellence themselves. But Kim saw that unity, and then he heard it. He heard it in their singing, you know. You know, I don't know who will see this. People always think of St. Olaf, and one of the things they admire is the so-called blend. I never use the word blend. I don't talk about blend. I don't talk, if anybody says St. Olaf Choir doesn't sings with straight tone, then they don't know what they're talking about. We sing with a very unified vibrato that doesn't like smear the center of the pitch. But I never ask them to sing without vibrato. I never ask them to blend. Because blend is an after effect. Blend is you know, you say something to blend, and if you could see my ceiling of my home, it's a wonderful white, but that's what I think of blend. It just whitewashes everything. I always like to think of choral sound as a wonderful tapestry. You bring all these weaves of voices together, and they're different, but if you line those weaves up the right way, they make this incredible, wonderful work of art. And that's what I try to do. And part of that is how I place the singers in the ensemble and listening so they have a balance and agreement of vocal colors, vocal timbres, quality of voices, and personalities. I don't just pick singers for a choir because they have beautiful voice. Yes, they have to have a beautiful voice, but there are a lot of beautiful voices that have gone through this program that they haven't had a servant spirit in their hearts. And I think that's also key at whatever age to make great choral music. I think they would all say one of the greatest lessons they learned from that is they learned to listen to other singers. And they also learned to believe that while they perfected their art to give their very best, it was as a gift to others. That their choral music, for me, we're at our best choral musicians when we give our art in service to others. And so I think a gathering like you're having right now, you know, and that you're doing virtually, but you would have had with Dr. Boers in person, is people coming together and not in competition, but to join their voices together, and something even more beautiful happens. And quite frankly, I know all of the warnings we have right now, and my colleagues and I here at St. Olaf and across the country are figuring out how can we put our groups back together. And number one will be the safety of singers. That will have to take primary consideration. But what we can already tell, and as wonderful as virtual opportunities to make a choral product, it doesn't replace being together in the room. It doesn't replace that energy and that power that you feel from being with another human being making music. And so for right now, you know, this is going to have to do. It allows us to keep our art alive. It allows us to create, but it is only a shadow of what's possible and what we need to figure out a way to get back. But to come back to this text a little bit more, I think this text, while he wrote it for young people on the verge of taking off in life, I think right now, as we get to this point and with this disease that is ravaging the world, we need to have hope. We need to have a sense of what is possible. And, you know, right now, that part of Ewan Tate's text where he writes, "The night is restless with the sounds we hear, is broken, shaken by the cries of pain." They have meant more to me because there's been, you know, loss of community, loss of being able to join our voices together. I've suffered loss of friends to this disease. But I think as he goes on and he talks, yeah, the sounds we hear, but always within that sound, it's music's inner voice saying, yes, we hear you. We hear those cries, but music will answer and allow us to return to life. And we will fly, answering you, so our lives sing. Wild we fly, wild in spirit we will fly. We're not going to be held down. And this song is, for me, is a sense of hope, is a sense of the light at the end of the tunnel. And right now, I know we all feel, at least I feel, and I know I'm not the only one who's felt like this, like we're in just this tunnel of darkness, but there is light and there is hope. And what I love about this is that for so many other singers that I've worked with, whether they're music majors or not, so many times they have found their heart's fulfillment in singing the texts that have been so beautifully set to music by composers through the ages. And often they haven't always had their own words, but when they sing a piece like this, all of a sudden, that's how I feel, And I think that is the thing that separates singers from instrumentalists. We have text. Our wonderful instrumental colleagues have, yes, music, and music is a great thing, but I think we have text. We have two senses that we can tap into. And when you get a composer and a librettist who can work so beautifully as the two of these have, and this is just a little miniature. My mentor in my adult years was a woman by the name of Helen Kemp. Dr. Kemp was known throughout this country, but throughout the world as one of the great vocal music educators for young children. And she didn't have audition children's choirs. She and her husband worked out of the church. And so she took everybody was eligible for her choirs. And her mantra was body, mind, spirit, voice. It takes the whole person to sing and rejoice. I first met Helen when I was 22. I just started running the camp I went to as a boy at the American Boy Choir School. And she was in the faculty she's a Westminster grad, and she and her husband had returned to teach there after a long period of time in church music ministry. But she was doing a summer course, and she had about 125 people jammed into one of the classroom lecture halls in Talbot Music Library. And I walk in, and at that point, Mama Helen must have been in her maybe early 60s. And she's going through, and they're all up, and Helen was, she believed in movement in a choir rehearsal. So they were going, body, mind, spirit, voice. It takes the whole person to sing and rejoice. And I was 22 years old, about 40 pounds lighter, and big old afro, sitting back there and thinking, that is the stupidest, cheesiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, Laura, I can tell you now, I was the stupid one. And that is maybe one of the most salient bits of information that has stayed with me, because I think what he captured in this text and what Kim must have felt in the interaction between the Salem Choir and myself was that, yeah, it takes the whole person. It's not just a set of vocal folds. It takes the whole person to sing and rejoice. And that's one of the things that we're missing right now as we have been pulled apart from our singing communities. So again, I think this is a wonderful thing that you and your colleagues have envisioned, how, most of us had to give up on things. But how do we do this? And so kudos to you and your colleagues for, saying, no, we can redeem something out of this, and we can provide light and hope for our singers, and a day when we can come back together and sing this song. But what a powerful and a beautiful thing. Think about Kim Andre's music. And I've told him this just in our conversation a couple of weeks ago. His music continues to find freshness. Sometimes we can get very established choral composers and they get into a little bit of rut. It's this person, it's this person, it's this person. And their trademarks, which are great, You hear Copeland's music, you hear those open fists, Okay. But with Kim, he understands a fresh language, but one of the things that this man knows how to do is to write a melody. All of his music. And, I grew up, in the 60s and 70s, and certainly when I was in college and graduate school, and I've done enough post-tonal music in my in my life. And I can appreciate it, and I can be proud of the singers and that I've led who've done some of this music, and that our musical skills have allowed us to face a challenge and bring it off very convincingly. But I have to say, that's not the music that I'm going to remember in my old age. I'm going to remember when people have looked at the beauty of words and they've tried to let both the head and the heart respond. And for me, that is tied to melody. I've known Alice Parker over 40 years now, and when I first met her, I thought, oh, she's a nice lady, but what she has constantly pounded out, and you see that in these wonderful miniatures of her choral settings, melody, the importance of melody. And that's what eventually speaks to us as human beings. There are some of us who are very intellectual people, and I, bless their hearts, as my Southern friends would say, just bless their hearts. That, that's the thing that turns them on. Give me a good melody. And then you enrich that beautiful melody with just luscious harmonies. And that's one of Kim's gifts. And he finds his own ingredients to make something that's very distinctive for him. But every time I take one of his pieces up, and he's been very complimentary. He says, every time I hear you do one of my pieces, I hear things I never thought were even present. And I said, well, because there's a lot to find in there. And so, and I think sometimes it's a much more challenging thing to take a piece in a very small form and develop it. If you have 3 and 4 or 5 movements, you have a lot more to give. Yeah, you have to find more material, but sometimes people don't. But to make it work and not make it sound like, and I also know some composers who it feels like they put the whole refrigerator in the stew. It's too much. He finds a perfect balance of how to season his meal, and it's always tasty when it's done. As I said, I've taken this piece literally around the world. I've done it in Scandinavia. I've done it in Korea. I took it last year to Indonesia. I was conducting the Indonesia National Youth Choir, and certainly throughout all states and honors choirs throughout this country. And at one point, I'll get to a point, because they start, and usually they come with the notes basically learned, but I said, I always tell them, I said, if I've given you this piece, it's because I believe you have the skill and the musicality to bring this piece to life in a beautiful way. And I said, because this is my birthday gift, and I'm not going to have you stomp on my birthday gift. So we work very hard, and we just don't sing through a line, but we try to bring those words alive. So when they sing, is broken, shaken by the cries of pain, I need the text to come through. I need them, but I also need them for this is music's inner voice. There's hope in that. We all suffer pain. We all suffer loss. But what is there to bring us through? If you give in to that pain and loss, then you haven't understood what the gift of music is. And Ewan Tate caught that in this piece, and this text that he created. Yes, honoring my wonderful students, but also I love, like a feather falling from the wing, fragile as the human voice. And the way he goes just to these single voices. And so I revoice those singers so that we have this very light, ethereal bird flying, and just soaring. And let that human voice come through. And when they get over to, it's really almost a mantra for me at the end of this piece. Alive to love, we sing as love. We sing as love. Afraid, uncertain. And Lord knows we are in a time of such uncertainty. Yet our flight begins. And I think for those of us, who maybe are in the latter stages of life like I am, there are days when I go, why didn't it wait like another 6 or 7 years as I was retired, And then, I let myself get, I do my woe is me bit. And then I started thinking, no, because you still have more to give. And now this is a time of renewal. And this is what I think this piece is about also. It's about hope. It's about light for the future, but it's about renewal. That I think sometimes we have to lose things to really appreciate them. We have, I think this generation sometimes has been a generation of entitlement, of feeling like they're entitled to things. And so many things have been taken away from us right now. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, I never thought I would be so happy as to say I can get a haircut. Well, in 2 weeks, I hope finally we will be allowed to have the hair salons opened up, because right now I have a set of headphones on talking to you, and I have mushed my hair down. And my days of having an afro are gone, and my hair though in the morning looks like Bozo the Clown, all right? But little things like that. And I think when we come back to our music making, we've kind of taken a lot of things for granted. And I hope when we are able to return and able to make music again in some way, person to person, it'll be a time of renewal, a time of gratitude for that personal gift of the human voice, the most natural of all instruments, and that we do this again because we want to share our gift. And what I've learned through the art of choral music, I mean, as I said, I was a kid who grew up, you know, I would call ourselves lower middle class, but it was music that opened the world to me. You know, I never had gone south of the Mason-Dixon line until I was 14, singing the American Boy Choir. My first time on a plane overseas was my last tour with the American Boy Choir to Italy. And we got to sing at the Spoleto Festival. We got to sing for the then, you know, pontiff for Pope Paul VI. You know, I've sung at the White House twice as a kid. First time for Nixon, President Nixon, at Christmas, December 70, and then in 2005 for the National Day of Prayer with the Silent Choir. Mm-hmm. East Room looked like it shrunk from the time I was there in 1970 to when I was there in 2005. But I mean, the world of choral music has just opened my whole world. And to be able, whether it was in Australia or New Zealand, whether it was in Cameroons of Africa, whether it was in Jerusalem, whether it was in Latin America and Venezuela when I conducted the World Youth Choir, all of a sudden, I've crossed with so many different cultures, but music has been that bridge. And all of a sudden, the things that so often in the world of politics and everything else divide us, music has been the bridge to bring us together. I learned that firsthand in the 23 years that I've worked at the Oregon Bach Festival and its founders, Helmut Rilling and Roy Saltzman. A large part was, yes, the love of the music of Bach started that, but it was much more of bringing people together. And this is the first summer in 23 years I will not be in Eugene, Oregon, making music. I hope that we will return next year, you know. Yeah. But when I have come to, where was this festival supposed to be held?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah. What I remember coming to Wyoming, I think I came to do your All-State in January, and it was cold and snowy, but it was beautiful. And when we started making music, you know, I think some of your kids had never seen an African-American teacher. By the end of our time together, we were family. And they didn't ignore my race, but they saw me as somebody who was trying to help bring out the beauty in their voices. And that's part of what this song is about. And I hope that it's not just for young people, it's for people of all ages. And so I hope as you all sing this, even if it has to be virtually right now, that they can take that message of hope and that message of beauty and let it fill their lives at this time of uncertainty, that there's still time for them to take flight.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Very special gift, and I'm so glad it keeps enriching. But Kim has become a dear friend, and I think he would be just so moved that you all, that this piece has come to mean so much to you and your singers. So this is a little piece of hope we give them, and they give each other, and that we hope soon. I keep envisioning what it's going to be like when not only they let us sing in the same room, but you can actually hug each other. You can shake each other's hands again, you know? Those are things that we took namaste goes only so far for me, you know. I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger, and you know, and I miss that. So, um, but this project is a good thing, and especially in this time. And I wish you all the best, and thank you for asking me to be part of it in this way. And
Mhm.
tell Dr. Boers I said hello.
Hello, everyone, and greetings from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I am Laura Hucken, Artistic Director for Cathedral Voices. I'm standing in front of the Center for the Arts, where we would have had our concert in person had the pandemic not occurred. Now it's just an empty 550-seat theater with 2 people inside, switching and using technology to share something of interest, to keep the music going, to keep the singing happening, and to provide hope in this challenging time for all of us. And I wanted to take a moment to thank you all for tuning in and to remind you that YouTube is a lovely thing and you can use it and tune in if you missed a session on Saturday, if you wanted to revisit one of these virtual premiere songs or one of the interviews, you can tune in. We will keep the information up on our YouTube channel. Just search for Cathedral Voices Chamber Choir and you'll find us. You can also join us online on cathedralvoices.org on our website and keep in touch as we figure out new programming for the future. And last but not least, I want to shout out and send a huge thanks to many organizations and entities that made this possible. The Wyoming Arts Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Wyoming State Legislature that fund our Arts Council. The Center of Wonder that distributes the Town and County Arts for All grants to local organizations such as ours. The Center for the Arts, Patrick Millard, Willie Brooks, Marty Camino, Jenny Graham, also the Wyoming Cultural Trust Fund, and the many singers from across Western Wyoming and beyond that have been involved in this project and helped us make something special happen, something to keep the music going forward. Last but not least, usually when we have our free concerts, at the door we leave jars, tip jars, so that you can help and give back for what you experienced and encourage and inspire and help us to do more. So if you are able, you can do so today. You can donate at cathedralvoices.org and leave a little tip and tell us thank you if you enjoyed anything and learned something and was inspired by what you heard today or yesterday. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon, someday at some point in person. Take care.
Well, welcome, singers. It's really nice to see you for our final little session of the festival. I know this has been a whole funky experience for everyone. Um, and we've heard a lot of wonderful, inspiring, interesting things and conversations from some of the conductors that joined us through some of the interviews and the roundtable. But we want to hear from all of you and get a little bit of an idea of what this experience was like for you. Because a virtual choir sounds really exciting. It's like we're going to be famous or something. And then the reality, hits us of how we're going to do this and what it feels like in relationship to the normal experience of singing in a choir. So I thought I would just start by throwing that out there and saying, if you would like to talk, raise your hand and I'll say your name so we don't interrupt each other too much, and then you can unmute and share your thoughts. So tell me and tell us, tell everyone what it was like to go from preparing for a concert with multiple songs and big theater to working on 2 digital versions of songs instead. Judy, why don't you go first?
Well, I was just really grateful to be able to continue singing in some capacity. I mean, between this and doing a couple streaming things at church, it helped me feel normal and like I was on some kind of routine. So that was really awesome. And then to hear it is just, I'm so happy to have been a part of it. And that's it.
No, thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else have something they'd like to say about what they thought of the experience? Be honest. Cody.
There I am.
Hi, Cody.
I was just actually talking with my parents about this. I don't think I've ever felt as vulnerable singing a piece like this where you're meant to have multiple different voices all singing together, piano parts, just the full movement of that piece, and you're stuck in front of a camera singing your part a cappella and having to listen to it to make sure that it's going to blend with the rest of the group. I've never felt more vulnerable or more critical of myself, which I think is a good thing. You got to take that leap of faith sometimes.
Sure. Thank you, Cody. How many of you felt that way about recording yourself? That it was hard? Yeah, we are our own worst critics. And we sing, why do you sing in a choir? To sing with others. You're not in a choir because you want to be a soloist and a star. And the music that we prepared is not intended to be, that tenor line is not a solo, except for places, right? It's intended to be a part of something else. So it does feel and sound strange when it's all stripped apart into those pieces. Anyone else? What did you think of the experience? Preparing for the virtual choir. Is there some? How about Les and Val? Yeah. You can unmute yourself there.
Now, for me, it was something to look forward to. I think that one of the problems that I had was I stopped working during this epidemic and retired. And so at the beginning of retirement, you should travel the world and see the world and go places and have fun. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So, you can only clean house and clean cabinets and pull all of your offices into one office. And for me, personally, it was an opportunity to look forward to something, and it was brutal to record individually. I was ready to walk up the hill and strangle my sister, but we got through, and so it was very sweet. And then all of the hard work that went into it, each individual, the directors, and the community, and to be a part of that choral community for me was just awesome. Beth?
Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody. I thought it was just amazing, and I can't even tell you how much I appreciate all that you did, Laura. I might know better than almost anybody how much work it was, and I am so proud of all of us, and I'm so proud of you for going forward with this. And we know it wasn't very easy. It just wasn't. I had some professional singer friends of mine tuned in today, and they were impressed. They were impressed with our community choirs joining together and all the work it took, because some of them have tried to do some live streaming performance, and they know how hard it is to get it all to work, you know. So I think everyone needs to be really proud of themselves for doing it and being vulnerable, Cody. I think all of us felt that way and felt really critical of what we sounded like. But the other part of it is, no, we're not soloists, but neither are those lines, like you mentioned, the tenor line. They're not meant to be sung by themselves. And some of them sound so strange. But I was proud today. I thought it sounded pretty darn good, and I don't know if I want to do it again, but I thought it was great after all the work this winter. So thank you.
Thank you. How about, keep talking about tenors. Where's it? Kurt. Hey, would you like to chime in a little bit about your experience? Did
Sure,
you
thanks.
enjoy it? Did you hate it? Would you do it again?
After the first effort, I hated it and didn't want to do it again. After the second experience, I think there's a lot of growth process that went on, and it was a lot more enjoyable, a lot more fun. And I think it sounded a lot better. The second song sounded a lot better than the first. Not that the first wasn't good, but I could just see that there was a lot of growth. But I just want to give a shout out to Patrick. And, you know, we can all sing, but how Patrick put this all together and patched it and figured it out is just unbelievable to me. So mega kudos to Patrick.
Oh. Right, that's how we do it. We're learning how to use Zoom. That's wonderful. So we have a family up on the screen, and I would love for the Buchanans to maybe chime in a little bit. We have, you know, there were some that were fortunate that they are together and they could kind of sing together, even though it wasn't the choir. So what did you think of this experience, and was it worthwhile?
Yes, I'm the spokesperson. Oh, well, me personally, I had a good time with it. I had fun. I mean, I've done things like this before, so it wasn't completely new to me, but I know others did not love it so much, but the end product was wonderful. So we're very happy to have been part of it. So thank you for putting it together and keeping us singing. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And how about you, Sharon? Mind if I ask you to tell us about your thoughts and opinions? Would you do this again? Sharon Ziegler? Yeah. Can let us know what you think.
Oh, there I am. Sorry, I thought you said Sean, so I was waiting for Sean to talk. Would I do it again? Well, I'd have to think about it really hard. I thought it was hard. I struggled to what everyone else has said, but I also struggled interpreting the direction of the conductor so that I would be the same as everyone else. And I think the one, especially the second one, when you were able to add a guide track to it, you know, thank you, Beth, that I was able to sing with someone so that when I interpreted the movement of the director, I was sure that I was in the right place as far as cutoffs and coming in. And I thought it was hard because I'm an alto. I'm not a soloist. I always sing harmony with someone else, but I did love the outcome. I did love how it turned out. And I loved the growth that I got through the process as well. So thank you, Laura, for pushing us all towards this, something that was hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted, if you don't mind, ask Stephanie, if you don't mind talking a little bit, about your experience, because I know, you know, we're talking about the creation process and the recording, but juggling this with life. And I know for some of us, we had more time on our hands because we were less busy, and some of us, we were swamped and we were buried and trying to fit this in amidst that. So Stephanie, maybe you can chime in for a second.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a funny time working from home, and I have an elementary age child, so home doing school at home. So life is busy right now, even though we're at home. But again, as other people have said, I appreciated that we went forward with this. And I will just reiterate what you've said and what other people have said. It was worth it, but I miss the camaraderie with the group. As you said, we all want to make music with other people, so that part has been hard. It's like another family that we can't see. So, but I'm glad we went forward with it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
And I do think, it's important to keep our creativity flowing, even when we're busy and things are different. It was definitely, I appreciated having the creative outlet. So thank you.
Some of the points that, in the discussions that happened, I think the other day were pretty telling, and it was comforting to know that, we are in Western Wyoming. We are 6 choirs and small groups of volunteer singers coming together, but that even those at, teachers and in bigger cities are struggling with what to do. So I don't know about you, but I sort of feel some comfort in knowing that everyone is a little strained and a little worried, and no one really there is not an answer yet that really has presented itself for what the future holds. I mean, here's a question for you all. Do you think we'll be having concerts in December? Okay, that's an interesting one. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I know we want to, but is that going to be a possibility? How about the cops? I see the cops down there. Actually, well, you're down on my screen. I don't know where you are on the live stream. Would you like to chime in and let us know your thoughts? And would you do this again? Was it worth it? And be honest. We all don't share the same opinion, and for good reason. We're all different individuals. So
yeah, it was definitely worth it. I can't imagine the work that you put into this, Laura, but it really was great. I definitely had to get out of my comfort zone to do those recordings, and I'm glad I did the first one, The Music of Living, because I felt more prepared for the second one. And I agree, I did think it sound better, but I would have been really disappointed in myself if I hadn't done it. So yeah, it was awesome. And I actually sent out emails to about 60 people, and I got a lot of feedback. People were watching it from all over the country, so it was great. And my family had no excuse not to attend.
I know that, isn't that true? They can watch it later. We'll make sure that we'll keep things up so folks can view them as well. So, is there anyone else that has a thought or a comment as to your experience and how much? Here, how about let's do a poll. Thumbs up. You would definitely do it again. Let me think about it. No way. Which one are you? Wow. I'm impressed. Because I know that was hard. I'm seeing some thumbs up.
Laura, so, I just had a thought. I think especially as we started practicing for this, it was something purposeful for us to do, and I think because we know that music brings joy to us personally, but we know that it brings joy to other people, and being so isolated and not connecting, by having that to do, and then knowing that there would eventually be an outcome of this now that we have online for friends and family and whatever to watch, it gave us a sense of purpose, I think. And I think that's what I have felt the difficulty of being at home and not doing my normal activities, volunteer activities, etc. So that purpose was really fulfilling. Yeah, it was hard. I didn't like being out by myself and listening to this thing. I thought, oh, I sound awful, you know. So, but you just thank you for guiding us and doing all this. Been a joy, actually.
If we ever need to do it again, I think we chose pieces that we were already preparing for our concert intentionally. But I don't know about you, my takeaway is you need to be careful about what kind of song you choose for a virtual choir, as far as being able to sync up and tighten all of those songs and pieces together, because that's really tough. The rubato of, following the rubato in a conductor and breathing together, if you can't see everybody and feel them breathing around you, then you don't know that you're breathing and preparing for that onset at the same time. You're kind of guessing, and stagger breathing is just impossible. I know I asked you to, but it's that's an interesting thing to try and do in this kind of situation.
I thought the addition of the accompaniment track, for the second piece was really, really helpful. Felt like singing with somebody rather than just, singing by yourself on those. So I thought that really helped.
Good. JJ, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I think, Laura, that it was very gratifying for me to listen to the panelists that you had yesterday. And with Dr. Boers, I felt encouraged and I felt inspired. I think that knowing that other people, especially professional educators, that are so longing to the same as we are, to get back together, to rub elbows and to hear one another and to breathe in the same space. And as they said, to feel our heartbeats sync up and to hear them express that heartfelt. And then Anton Armstrong today, I thought was incredible. And that made my heart sing. And it did give me hope. And I think the text of these two pieces, because of what we've had to go through, I've gone back over the text multiple times and have been blessed by that. I mean, that's powerful. It's powerful stuff. And so, yeah, there were little things that I didn't like about our performance, but we were all there and we gave it our best. So thank you for what I would not have expected to happen. That was good. Really good.
Yeah, when we walked into rehearsal in January, did you imagine that you'd be here right now?
Oh, no.
Or where you are?
Definitely not.
Oh my, it's a whirlwind. We are not in control. And it's as singers, or especially as conductors, to not be in control is a really tough place to be, and to not be able to plan ahead and know, and organize yourself. That's been the biggest challenge for me. So I see some priest people have joined us. Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi, we're just getting a few tidbits from everybody before we say our farewell to each other. I mean, this is our chance to say hi and connect. And this is kind of like, imagine go after the concert, walking out into the lobby and saying hi to your audience and your friends, and celebrating your fine achievement. This is it, folks. This is the new version of the gala post-festival concert. So, Priestess, do you want to say anything about the experience? I was just asking folks what they loved about it, hated about it. Would they do it again? Not? What do you think, Priest family? Looks like Taisha's there. Would you like to say anything with us and join us? I can't hear you. I'm seeing smiles. How about you, Dee?
Well, yes, Laura, I would like to say something. I felt that this was very difficult, as everybody else did, but I memorized the music, and that really helped me when I was doing my auditions and sitting with you the day in the Presbyterian Church, and just the smile on your face just allows me to be bold and step out of my box and know that you have chosen each and every one of us for a reason and for our special contribution to the choir. And I appreciate that a whole lot. And as well, it is purpose. We have to have purpose in life, or we're just sort of floundering around in an ocean of unpurposefulness. And so we do give something to everybody. And you know, I invited my sister and she thought it was awesome. So I did too. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
It was amazing.
Oh, that's Charlie.
Wow, Charlie has grown
Charlie
up
was
a lot
watching
since I've
too.
seen her. Before we wrap up, would
Laura,
anyone else like to
Laura?
say anything? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the music of living and how fun it was that we were able to watch you direct us and play at the same time. That was incredible. That would have not happened in a regular concert. So there's a good, real positive thing that came out of that one.
So you're funny. Lisa Landis, she was very pregnant. She actually had her baby on May 5th, I believe, a baby girl. And she couldn't accompany. She needed to stay away from everyone during the end of her pregnancy. And we're at this, what do we do? And only in the virtual choir scenario was it possible to go that
Yeah,
route.
and it was awesome, and you played beautifully, and it was just gorgeous.
Thanks. Is there anyone else that would like to say something? Trish or Bill, Lori?
I just want to say I just want to say I agree with Sharon. That was great.
All right. So what I'd like to do, it's official. The festival's over. Your lives are what they are in this moment in time. But I want to say it's been a joy to work with you from a distance. It by no means replaces. I am so hungry for the chance to actually get together and sing with people again. Because being in editing things is a bit of a lonely process. It's very solitary. And, I just can't wait to see you all and to sing again and make noise and have people not be afraid to be around us when we're singing, which is sort of the case at the moment. But please be brave, be strong, and don't give up. And let's make sure that we make something happen in the fall. Something. I don't know what it's going to look like. As you know, we might have to be doing some creative combination. I see some. Duncan and the Loftus family. Awesome. So it could be a combination, right? I think there's some really interesting ideas yesterday and about, small groups, and maybe there's some work that we do at home in safety and limit the interaction just to be on that safer side. But where there is a will, and we all have one, there's a way. So, so before we sign off, I want to go around the room and I want you to say your name, the part that you sing, and where you are. So I will go through, and when you see yourself unmuted, just introduce yourself as we say our farewells today. Beth.
Yeah, I'm Beth Stromberg, and I sing alto, and I'm coming to you from my apartment in Jackson.
See here. Oh, is that not working? Buchanan family, I'm trying to unmute you. It's not working. Oh, there you go.
I'm Bailey Simpson. I also sing alto, and we're in Pinedale, Wyoming.
And I'm Sean Buchanan, Bailey's dad, and we're in Pinedale.
And I'm Kim Buchanan, and I sing soprano. He sings bass.
Bass, yes.
And I'm Jackson Buchanan. I'm
Sean, Kim's son, and I sing tenor.
That's awesome. Judy.
I'm Judy Weichel. I sing soprano 1, and I'm here at my apartment in Jackson, Wyoming.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Is that working? Les and Val.
Okay. Hi, my name is Leslie Hagenstein. I sing soprano, and I'm part of this wonderful choir from Pinedale, Wyoming.
Valerie Lee, soprano 1. I'm at Leslie's house in Pinedale.
We're sisters.
Bill.
Neil, bass, coming to you from Wilson, and I'm retiring in 3 weeks.
Lori.
Name is Lori Dodd. I sang alto 1, and I'm in my apartment in Jackson, Wyoming.
Awesome. And I know that's not Jim, that's JJ.
That's it. I'm JJ Huntley, and I'm in Myrna, Wyoming, at my home up against the Bridger Teton National Forest. And I sing alto too, but sometimes I'm a alto 1 wannabe. Yeah.
Trish.
I'm Trisha, and I sing alto. I'm very, very fortunate to sing alto with a wonderful group of altos in Pinedale, Wyoming, and I'm at home in Pinedale.
And Carol.
I'm Carol Harvey. I'm at my home here in Jackson, and I sing second soprano.
And Kurt. It's slow. Kurt, can you unmute yourself? I can't do it for some reason.
Okay, unmuted. Yeah, Kurt Hawes. I sing tenor. I'm at home in Jackson. My bride, Cherise, sings soprano. And I think she's isolating in St. George, but I don't see her, so I'll put out a 911 to find her. And Bill, I have a knee that says don't retire yet. Thanks.
Dee.
Hi, I'm Dee, and this is Charlie, my granddaughter. She enjoyed the concert today with me in Game Creek, and I sing second soprano, and very thankful for this opportunity. Thank you, Laura.
And look what I drew.
And that's awesome. Steph.
I'm Stephanie Capps. I sing alto 2, and I'm at my home in Jackson, Wyoming.
Fantastic. And the Cop clan. Can you, unmute. We can't hear you, Cops. Can you unmute yourself?
There we go.
Oh. Debbie Kopp. I sing alto 2. We are here on Snow King in the east end of Jackson.
And I'm Bob Kopp, and I sing bass.
You definitely don't sing soprano. Sharon.
Hi, I have the privilege of singing in both the Pinedale Festival Choir and the Cathedral Voices Choir, and I have enjoyed immensely my participation in both. I'm sitting at my antique grand piano in Pinedale, Wyoming. Thank you, Laura, for everything.
Thanks. And the Priest clan.
Hi, I'm Taisha Priest, and I sing second soprano and first alto. And this is
I'm Landon Priest, her son, and I sing bass in this choir.
sing bass. And we're here in Pinedale, Wyoming, and we loved it. We would do it again.
So Taisha, next time you have to let me know which part you sing.
I changed in the middle, sorry.
We were in the middle of syncing everything up, and I get this message from Patrick, and he said, wait, I thought you said she was, this part. Now, did she switch? And I had to go back and listen.
Sometimes it was in the middle of the song that I would switch, so I apologize.
No, it's fine. But that was one thing we learned. We need to be make sure we know who's singing which part so we can sync them up.
Got it.
Cody.
Hi, I'm Cody Daigle. I sing bass too in both Cathedral Voices and the Pinedale Festival Choir. And I'm coming to you guys live from my mom and dad's guest room.
Great place to be. And the Nobles, if you can, let's see. I'm trying to unmute, but, oh, did I mute you? Oh dear, try again. Oh, okay, you do it. I'm not touching it.
Hi, I'm Pat Noble. This is my son Duncan, and we both sing bass. And we're at home in Coral, Wyoming.
Oh, very beautiful spot. Well, thank you, everybody. I know we didn't get a chance to connect. I mean, some of us really have barely met each other, and hopefully we'll get to actually meet and sing in person next time. So thank you all.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks. We'll see you all again next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.